Well, hi, everybody, and welcome back to Gotham Baseball Live. I'm Mark Healey, and my co host, as he is with me each and every week, is the great Peter Schwartz. Peter, how are you this morning?
I'm doing great, Mark. Baseball season underway and a good start for both teams. So nothing could be better than this 2026 season getting underway the way it has for both teams.
Absolutely. And, we've got a great guest coming on with us, Levi Weaver from The Athletic. He'll be coming and joining us in a few minutes. But before we get to Levi, obviously, a great pitching performance by Max Fried on opening day. Couldn't ask for more than that. Yankees score 7 runs without a home run, which was very interesting, certainly. And what was your takeaway from that opening day win for the Yankees?
It's just one game. It's opening day, and obviously you like to see Fried pitch the way he did, and obviously he got out of a jam right away, which was good to see. He was in control the rest of the way, and it's just so funny, Mark, and you deal with this every day also, excuse me, with social media, the overreaction
Uh,
to Aaron Judge going 0 for 5 was just, laughable. I guess, you know, for him, it was just an extension of what happened the last few games of the World Baseball Classic. So much negativity towards him. And of course, he couldn't have asked for a worse start to the season, but it's one game. I mean, it's not the first time in his career he's been 0 for 5. It is the first time he has gone without a hit on opening day for the Yankees. Not a big deal. I thought, the rest of the lineup, did a nice job. They got some other contributions, and let's listen. Seven runs is 7 runs. Doesn't matter if they're all singles or all home runs. And bottom line was it was a win. Your starting pitcher did well. The bullpen locked everything down. And really, I mean, the only complaint I really have is the game was on Netflix. That was really the only complaint I had.
and and obviously, yeah, Aaron Judge will be fine. I think he'll be fine. That was
Yeah,
my
I think he'll be
line.
fine too.
That was my line in my column today in the paper. He'll. I kept it till the very last line. I was like, you know what? He'll be fine. I'm not sure if this marriage between MLB and Netflix will survive, but
Yeah.
and just quickly, look, I thought it was ridiculous. I thought it was so over the top. There was a lot of choices made for that. And look, I get it, right? They're looking to add the Savannah Banana audience to Major League Baseball. I get that. But, it's like, and somebody said to me, well, did you like the Harlem Globetrotters when you were a kid? I said, yeah, but it had
Yeah.
nothing to do with the Knicks.
No, it
Like
didn't.
two separate things. I don't know why MLB, it's almost like they're like these like nerdy dudes that are trying to be and hang out with the cool kids, by doing some of the
But you
stuff
don't
that they
have to
did.
do that. You
Right.
don't have to. If you're that's the problem I have with Rob Manfred is that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And for every step forward that Major League Baseball has taken, whether it's the lowering the time of the games and the shift, if the every time they do something good, they take one step back. And I think
Yeah.
this was a step back, first of all, and this may sound weird coming from a Yankee fan, but why were the Yankees and the Giants selected as the opening game to the season? Like, if you wanted to try and replicate what the NFL does with their season opener, you would have had the Dodgers in the season opener against somebody. I understand it's the Yankees. They're arguably the most popular sports team in the world. So I understand the attraction, but if you're going to do something special like opening night, I think you reward the two-time defending champion Dodgers and put them on. And then you take this broadcast and you just it was all folly. It was complete nonsense. I only know that because I heard about it. Luckily, I was out to dinner with my family and got home
Uh,
just in time for the actual start of the game. But we were listening to the Yankee broadcast on the radio, and Susan Wallman was kind of confused. She didn't understand why there were taxi cabs, and at some point she said, "Well, there's some sort of dance team or cheerleaders or something like that." So it was just kind of nutty. Once they got to the game, it was fine. Matt Vasgersian is a pro, and obviously, he did both teams openers, as he did the
Right.
Met game on NBC yesterday.
Yes.
But I think from a baseball standpoint, the in-game broadcast was fine. As soon as that game was over, I turned it to yes to watch the Yankee post game.
Right.
I wasn't sticking around Netflix any longer than I had to.
Well, I suffered through it for the show, Peter. I just wanted you to know. I wanted you to know that it was pretty awful. I mean, at one point, I just texted, "Yikes! What am I watching?" It was just so just over the top. It was just silly. It's like what you just said, echoing what you just said. It's like MLB can't get out of its own way sometimes. And as you're right, for everything they do correctly, and again, like the for the Mets now, opening day for the Mets was on Peacock / NBC, and I obviously watched that whole probably. It was deadline day for us, so I couldn't get to opening day this year, and but I watched it very intently. I was listening. It was very weird to me, and I mentioned this during the broadcast, and a lot of people agreed with me, some didn't. And I don't know how much you got to watch or how much you heard, but and I know Al Leiter loved being a Yankee, and I know that he was good friends with Michael Kay, and I know he's on the broadcast a lot over at Yes sometimes. But every time it seemed to me that Versurgin brought up, the Mets, it was almost like Leiter was like, well, I mean, I played for 4 other teams, and I'm not pulling for the Mets. And I'm saying to myself, why wouldn't you just say, well, I'm in the Mets. I mean, you're in the Mets Hall of Fame, guy. Like,
Yeah.
Are you embarrassed that you were a Met? It just, look, I get it, right?
But didn't Neil Walker say the same thing? Didn't
No,
they?
but
Didn't they bring?
what Neil Walker said was he kind of was like, well, yeah, I love being a Pirate, but I also spent time here with the Mets, and I had a great time. Like he just. Like it was just like all Al Leiter had to say was, "Look, I had a lot of fun here. When I was a Met, I'm in their Hall of Fame, but I'm here to tell it like it is.
Right.
It's weird because it's not the first time like that Al Leiter is kind of like. But then later on, when he tells a story about his career, he talks about Whitey Ford and how Whitey Ford told him about how he just showed up to spring training without, taking out his glove all winter. So, anyway, it was that's an aside. I thought that overall, I felt that NBC Peacock did a much better job with the
Agreed.
game. Obviously, a great performance by the Mets. Not so great by the pitching, but Peralta did pitch 5 innings. They got great effort from the bullpen. Benj hits his first. Career home run. His first career hit is a career home run as a rookie, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But
I thought of you, by the way. As soon as he hit the home run, I said, Mark's got to really be tickled pink with this because he was calling for it on the show for him to make the team, and he makes the team, and he belts that home run. And I meant to look it up before the show. Maybe you know the answer to this question, but I'm wondering how many players' first major league hit was a home run. Aaron Judge's first major league hit was a home run, but I'm wondering how many players in baseball history's first major league hit was a home run.
Well, on the Mets, it was Brett Beatty. His first major league hit was a home run, and I'm pretty sure Francisco Alvarez's first major league hit was a home run too. Off the top of my head, I that'll be next week's assignment. We'll read the list.
We got homework.
but the one thing that struck me, Peter, for obviously the successful ABS challenge was great. That was great to see in action. But one thing that I don't know if you took was a takeaway for you, but it was weird that there wasn't a lot of replays yesterday. Like for instance, when Lau hit the home run, the first home run off Peralta. And Benj seems, and is it Ben or is it Benj? Because the MLB pronunciation guide says it's Ben, but everybody's calling him Benj, so I'm calling him Ben.
I'm calling him Benj too. That's all I've heard is Ben.
Exactly. So, they showed the home run, and it looked like he almost had a shot at catching it, right? It was like a windblown home run, that first home run that Lau hit. But we never, we saw one, regular speed replay. So, and there was no slow-mo replays or anything like that. I mean, did you get that takeaway from that? Because it was a couple of different plays. I
Yeah.
would have liked to have seen the replay. I was like yelling at the TV, "Where's the replay?"
Yeah, I think, and I think it was also a problem in the Yankee game on Netflix too. And I think these, uh, give me the old directors that the Bill Webbs of the world that know how to, direct a baseball game. But
Right.
it seemed to me that they were more preoccupied with the aerial shots. I mean, every
Yeah.
return to commercial on the Yankee game was an aerial shot. Yeah, we get it. It's a beautiful area around there with the water. And I think they did a lot of it with the Mets too. And I just think these new directors, they're trying to reinvent the wheel and they're trying to show you a baseball game like you're watching a video game. And I don't need to watch a video game. I want to watch the baseball game. And if it was a local, SNY or Yes broadcast, that play they would have showed that over and over and over again,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
almost at nauseum. You'd want to see it to see really how close he got to catching it.
Right. Right. No, absolutely. And I think it's important, obviously, that things will go back to normal, at least for the most part, for the next couple of weeks. But we have a guest. Why don't you tell me a little bit about our guest, Peter?
Yeah, let's welcome in our guest this week here on Gotham Baseball Live. He covers baseball for The Athletic, and we are very happy to welcome into the show Levi Weaver. Levi, it's Peter and Mark. How are you?
Well, we'll vamp while we're waiting for Levi to
Oh
join
wait,
us. There you go.
There he
There he
is.
is.
There he
there we
is.
go. Sorry about that.
Hey, no
How's it going?
problem. Thank you very much, Fred. We like you already because look at all those baseball cards behind you.
Yeah, there we go.
Great shot of
There's the
that.
collection.
Yeah, is there any one or two special ones that you have up there that you want to like zoom in on?
Yeah. Let's see. What do we got here? This is the one I'm the most proud of. Let me pull this down real quick. This is my well, assuming it'll come down. I don't take these down very often. Here we
This
go.
was not on the show sheet, by the way. This is a very nice
Yeah, right.
surprise. Oh, look at
So
that.
this is a Bob Gibson
Nice.
rookie card, which
Wow.
I scoured eBay for like over a year because I am not a rich man and I did not want to pay over $100. And I mean, it's not in great shape. You can certainly see where there's some wear and tear, a little water damage. Like it's not, but I'm not like an investor collector. I just collect things
Yeah,
because I think they're cool. And
yeah.
so I ended up getting that for like $85 a couple of years ago. I haven't seen one below 200 since. So
Wow.
that's the one good baseball card purchase I've made. It does not make up for all the money I've wasted
Well,
on these things, but that's the one I'm the most proud of. Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome because actually I have a Wayne Gretzky rookie card that I was very proud to
Nice.
get. I could say I have it in my collection, we're a baseball show, but I'll mention it. But it's definitely not in great shape. It's not worth
Yeah.
top money. But at least I could say I have a Wayne Gretzky rookie card.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I've collected since I was a kid. And I took a break kind of in my late teens and early 20s. But then, the nostalgia of it is there's an allure and there's there's nothing quite as cathartic for me as like letting the cards stack up for a little while as you buy packs over a year or two, and then you're like, I need a mental health break. I'm gonna alphabetize all of these. And just takes like it's a whole day's project. It's yeah, that's like my in addition to real therapy, that's my backup therapy is just alphabetizing baseball cards.
Well,
There you
without
go.
MLB's opening day, obviously with the Mets and the Yankees, we've already seen our games, both wins, obviously for us. But
Mhm.
Levi, a lot of stuff happened yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Rookies having great days. Christopher Sanchez has a phenomenal day. When you put together, what you do for the Athletic, when you're trying to figure out what's your lead story, what am I going to include? How does that all go into? What is your process for figuring that out?
Man, it is so step one is usually I'll open up our company Slack. They've got as MLB stories are posted, or it's like, hey, we've got this coming. Here's the WP file for editors to go in. And I'll just sort of open up. Some days it's 35 tabs. Some days it's over 100 if it's been like a full weekend, and just kind of read what our writers are writing. But then in addition to that, like during the season, it's a lot of just watching games I've got a TV and I've got the iPad and I've got a second laptop, so I'm watching three screens at a time. And then on my work computer, as I'm kind of just starting to write, we usually have a story that's sort of evergreen, right? Like we've had this feature coming on so and so, and so I'll start writing a little section on that and summarizing it. But as I'm doing so, I've also got Blue Sky open, which has sort of replaced Twitter for me. Uh, Occasionally, I've got some Twitter notifications still set on my phone. So if Ken or Passan or any of the big national guys tweet something, it's usually important. So I'll take note of that. And I've just got a running list at the bottom of my Google sheet that's just like, here are the things I want to check in on. And then around midnight my time, so I'm in Central Time. Around midnight, the stories mostly have all been turned in. I can kind of read through. A lot of the games have ended by about midnight, and then I usually wrap it up about 2:30 a.m. Central, and then I go to bed, and the editors take care of it in the morning. So it's tedious, but my biggest fear every day is that like something important will happen, and the newsletter will go out the next day, and baseball fans will be like, you didn't even talk about the no hitter that happened in Miami. Like, are you? What's so?
Right.
So that's like my big fear that sort of motivates me to be a little bit more like tedious and obsessed with the details.
Well, there was a lot that went on around the major leagues in the first couple of days of the season. Locally here in New York, it was a winning opening day for both the Mets and the Yankees. The Yankees on
Mhm.
Wednesday night in San Francisco. Let me start there with the local teams. What are your thoughts on the Yankees coming into 2026? We had Susan Waldman on a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about this idea, this rhetoric that people are saying that the Yankees are running it back this year. When you look at the 2026 Yankees, how do you view them, and what are your thoughts about them long term, and how far could they go this year?
Well, here's the thing about the quote unquote running it back is that the Yankees led all of baseball in a lot of offensive categories last year. They were the best offense in the sport. So I don't think there's anything wrong with bringing that group back to try to do that again. And then their rotation. Once everybody's healthy this year, you've got a rotation that goes Max Fried, Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon. Then from there, is it Cam Schlittler probably, Clark Schmidt. You've got Ryan Weathers in now. Will Warren was really good last year. And by the way, Luis Gil was the 2024 Rookie of the Year. So they've got the pitching now once everybody's healthy. I think they're going to be a very good team, and it's kind of if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I get it; they didn't win a World Series, and that's always the standard for the Yankees. But they were such a good team. I don't think there's anything wrong with just minor adjustments for them because I think that they've got a great squad.
And it's funny because the Mets didn't run it back. The Mets, did
Right.
a whole different, roster reconstruction. Kind of, letting go Alonso, letting go Brandon Nimmo, and so to me, when I see, especially, obviously opening day, doesn't mean anything, but they saw more pitches in that opening day game yesterday than they did in any game all season. So for
Yeah.
me, that's the one thing with the Yankees. Like I think some Yankee fans would have liked to have seen at least one new player, to give them some
Sure.
juice. But the
Sure.
Yankees are boring, and they boringly win, and they're boringly in the playoffs every year. But with the Mets, that's not how we roll. So,
No.
what do you think about what the Mets did this offseason, especially number one, letting go of two key pieces, Pete Alonso and Edwin Diaz?
Yeah, and Jeff McNeil too, who
Right.
not that he's a star player, but had been around for a very long time. Yeah, the Mets are never ever boring. They are like the most chaotic team. The Angels and Rockies can be sort of entertaining for different reasons. The Mets are always entertaining to me because they should be very very good all the time. They got the budget to be good all the time. They're the biggest market. And yet they just find ways to either be insanely exciting or insanely perplexing, and it's never really anything in between. So you're exactly right there. I think that it was time for a shakeup with the Mets. When Steve Cohen took over, he said, if we don't win the World Series in the next, was it 5 years, I'm going to be very disappointed. Well, they didn't win a World Series. And I think that team underperformed last year. So you look at yesterday's lineup, over half of the hitters were making their Mets debut. And you're right, it looked like a different approach for them. And especially there's one at bat that for me felt like, and I get it. It's a small sample size. It's one game. You give this, on a scale of 1 to 100, give this a weight of about 2. But Luis Robert Jr. being so selective, fouling off pitches against Paul Skeens, that first at bat from a guy who has been known to be very chase heavy. That's been the problem with him. That's been why he hasn't hit his potential. The Mets took a risk on him, sort of breaking out and being the guy that finally puts it all together. If that at bat was any indication, that was a very good acquisition for them. So yeah, I think that it's and oh, by the way, it's not, in addition to the 5 debuts in the lineup, Freddie Peralta was starting. So that's a new face also. Both of these teams, here's what the Mets and the Yankees have in common. And the Yankees more so than the Mets, but they both play in very difficult divisions. I think that the Phillies, talk about a run it back team. The Phillies did much the same. And I think that they will probably win the NL East, but I think the Mets are their biggest competition. The Braves rotation is sort of falling apart, but they should still be a good team. And then, Miami's on the come up. The Nats we're not going to worry about. In the AL East for the Yankees, I mean, the Blue Jays went to the World Series last year. The Red Sox might have the best rotation in the sport. The Orioles had a huge, they also added a lot of pieces, brought in Alonso. Mm-hmm. And then the Rays, they always find a way to do something we didn't expect, but I don't think that's something this year.
They're always a pain in the neck. They're a pain in the neck. Right. I can't stand the Rays.
Yeah. So both of these teams, they took different approaches, but I think in each case it was the right approach. I think the Yankees should have mostly stood pat. I mean, yes, could they have gone in and brought in a couple of extra players, sure, for the sake of being exciting, but it's not a bad crew. And I think the Mets had become a bit underperforming, a little stale, and it was time. So, yeah.
So when you look at, we're talking to Levi Weaver from The Athletic, a couple minutes left with him. When you look at Major League Baseball in a complete scope, the big elephant in the room is the impending labor doom that could be coming at the end of this year. And I think most people are predicting that either we're going to have a shortened or not at all season in 2027. What from your perspective, how do you look at this labor situation? Do you think there's a chance that the two sides can find some common ground and there'll be Major League Baseball a year from now?
They should. And MLB's owners are not known for being particularly visionary. But when you look at the health of the sport right now, and I get it, the Dodgers have won the last 2 World Series. They're spending an absurd amount of money. But baseball is more popular than it has been in a long time. I would say probably more popular than it's been since 1994. For the sake of sticking to their guns and wanting a salary cap. And the way that they'll pitch it is, look at what the Dodgers are doing. The Brewers can't do that. The sport needs a salary cap and a salary floor. And I understand. However, when you look at the NFL, and you look at the NBA, it's not a cure-all. The real reason for a salary cap is so the owners will have a set expenses. The expenses will be set. And when expenses are set, the valuation of the franchise goes up. Well, we heard news this week that the San Diego Padres, the bidding is expected to go north of $3.5 billion. Not every team is worth that, but the price of franchises has gone up by 700% over the last 5 to 10 years. They don't need more valuation. It is short-sighted, in my opinion, because it will tank that valuation if they don't have a season next year and fans check out and they go do something else, or they go start watching Banana Ball, or there are a number of ways that this could go very badly for them. I think it is very short-sighted for something that the union is so intent on not doing. Don't tank the season for a salary cap. It's stupid, it's short-sighted, and it would only benefit you in a way that you have already been benefited exponentially over the last decade or two.
Right.
No, I agree. And I hate even thinking about it because there's nothing we can do. We're certainly not going to change. As as influential as I think that I am or this show is, or,
Right.
we're not going to change anybody's mind. But
Yeah.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. As far as the baseball is concerned, everybody makes their preseason predictions, right, Levi? Everybody says, well, I think this team's going to be good, and I think that team's going to be good. Where, the NL Central to me is where the other wild card is going to come out of, right? A lot of people seem to think the Cubs have improved themselves to the point where they can win the division. Some people still think that the Brewers will, be in contention, if not win the division. In your mind, when you look at that NL Central, the Reds obviously made some moves. What do you think? How do you think that NL Central is going to wind up? And is anybody in the NL West, two-part question, is anybody in the NL West have any shot of, obviously they're not going to beat the Dodgers, but have any shot of getting into that wild card mix in your mind?
Yeah. So the other thing about the Central is that I think the Pirates will be improved this year. They made a lot of moves as well. So the Cardinals are the only team in that division that I go, they have no shot. Like even the Pirates have a shot if everything breaks well for them, But as far as the NL West goes, yeah, the Padres still have a good lineup. I think that they should go sign Lucas Giolito because he's still a free agent and their rotation needs that help. Yu Darvish is out. It's going to be a little while before. Why is his name slipping my mind? He had the Tommy John surgery. He's their number one guy. And I know my brain. It's not going to come back. But
Slipping our brains too.
We know who I'm talking about. He threw a no hitter.
Yeah.
He was the first Padres no hitter. They need some help in the rotation, but that lineup, aging as it is still a very good lineup. And the other thing about playing in the West is that you're gonna play the Rockies more than most teams, so that'll benefit you. Meanwhile, the Central, they're gonna beat up on each other a little bit. So is there a chance? Yeah, I think the Padres have a chance. I think the Diamondbacks have a chance if things break well. And in fact, I think even the Giants have a good rotation and could do it. Will they?
Joe Musgrove.
I don't know. Yeah.
Joe Musgrove.
Thank you.
I had a cheat. I Googled it. I couldn't remember.
I usually sneaky do that as well, but I was like, no, I need to focus on what I'm saying.
I suck at lying. I had to do it.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. So yeah, I do think it will be somebody from the Central. And in fact, I picked the Cubs to win the Central the last few years, and they keep not doing it. So this year, I probably am jinxing the Brewers, but I'm like, until you don't win it, you keep trading stars and you keep winning the division. Your manager left, you get to your biggest rival, and you still win the division. I'm still picking the Brewers until they don't do it. But I do think the Cubs are absolutely a playoff team this year.
Levi, I'd like to end the way we started talking about baseball cards. Thurman Munson was my favorite player growing up, still to this day. So I recently just added a Munson card that I did not have in my collection. So I thought I would end our conversation with a baseball card of my own.
I love that. That's so great, man. Baseball cards are the best. Like I think the whole investor culture of baseball cards right now is nothing that I ever want to get involved in. But like, dude, how cool is it that this card is from 1959? That's almost as old as my dad, and I still I get to.
It's awesome.
It smells like old books.
It's awesome, Levi. And what also is awesome is you taking the time to join us today. I hope as the season rolls along, you'll be willing to join us again and talk about what's going on in MLB, certainly here in New York, and really appreciate you spending time with us this week. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Take care, guys. Good to talk to you.
Thanks, Levi. Levi Weaver from The Athletic. He covers Major League Baseball for them. It was a great conversation, Mark. We got a lot of good stuff out of him, and I'm jealous of his background. Look at all those baseball cards behind him.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I'm not a card collector, but I do have different things that come to me. Like my friends know that I'm not like, so I have this wonderful Tom Seaver cartoon by Bill Gallo. Actually autographed. And My friend Kevin, we call him Razor, Kevin McCarthy. He's a huge Yankee fan, season ticket holder, drives from Rhode Island to go to Yankee games. It's a guy I grew up with in Flatbush. We played CYO ball against each other when we were kids. So, and we're still friends. We get together, 2 or 3 times a year with our big group of friends. And he was, I don't know if he was cleaning out a closet in his parents' house or whatever, but he came across this, and the first person he thought of to send it to was me. So I get stuff like that,
Yeah.
And I get different, like I have my coworker, John Schilling, made me one of these mugs with the Gotham baseball logo in there, which
Oh,
is
that's
really
awesome.
cool. Yeah. So I'm lucky. I get people know I'm not a card collector, but they know, and I'm not a memorabilia buyer or anything like that because
Yeah.
I have no money. I'm a journalist. But I get my hands on some of this stuff over the years,
Yeah.
which is really, really cool, Peter.
Yeah, I think we have to now devote a whole show coming up to the baseball memorabilia that we have.
Yeah, that's
Maybe we'll
cool.
pick an upcoming show and do that, and maybe we'll bring in the guest that week could be someone who's in the sports memorabilia business.
I think that would be great. So enjoy the game today, Peter.
I'm going to
Hopefully your
try.
team goes 2-0, and I will. I have a day of rest before But just one quick thing before we run out of time. Between the guy messing up the anthem yesterday, Chris Jackson, and the dead bird flying and falling from heaven next to Benj, in any other day, like it would have been doom for the Mets. Like it just would have and as soon as Lau hit the home run, 2-0, I'm like, up there you go. Screwed up the anthem. Now it's 2-0. We're gonna lose. I was like a mess.
Well,
But it didn't.
absolutely. And also, Met fans got rewarded for their patience yesterday because, as I heard on the Fan and other places, getting to Citi Field yesterday was an unbelievable challenge. Obviously, there's less parking spots this year. People were talking about how you couldn't get into the lot until 11 o'clock. I'm sure the trains were overcrowded. There's buses from Long Island that are taking people. So it's going to be a work in progress with all the construction going on around Citi Field. But thankfully for Met fans, those who took a long time to get in the ballpark, they were rewarded for their patience yesterday.
Mass transit's the way to go. I am not driving to a single game this year. I'm telling you that right now. Peter, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody, for joining us again here on Gotham Baseball Live.